It was day 2 of our long weekend in Damascus. We had already met with Mayor Katie Lamb, so we now knew the true story about what had happened here, and that we should follow the river to discover the truth. So that's exactly what we did. Along our drive through the mountains from our small cabin in Shady Valley to Damascus, we started coming across signs of what this community was going through. We came across the delivery of a tiny home on the mountainside. We were also shocked to see just how much road work had been done since the storm. Along the drive, we spotted stretch after stretch of new gravel set on sand and stone. In some places, these were patched up repairs of washed away road, but in other places, there were long stretches of brand new road. Of course, along the river, you'll spot communities hard at work, helping their neighbors rebuild or repair their homes. As we arrived downtown, we were once again relieved that the face of Damascus, the storefronts and cafes we'd come to love over the years, were mostly untouched. But we knew that the end of town near the church where the bridge was where most of the damage had been. We decided to start our river walk near a washed-out parking lot not far from the bridge. From the sky, we could see that just beyond the church were gutted homes near the river, and it was clear the destruction along this stretch of river had left few structures untouched. The land nearest the river had been stripped of anything not fixed into the ground itself. Debris still littered the land and trees despite obvious cleanup efforts. The river itself looked reformed to me. I couldn't remember if there had previously been this island of dirt in the middle. The island on the other side of the river was littered with more debris, larger pieces on this side, with what looked to be parts of structures embedded in the trees. The downtown homes near the bridge had obviously been inundated with water during the storm, with clean-out and repairs still underway, or in some cases, repairs hadn't started at all yet. You could imagine the path of the river as it curved left over the land behind the church, sweeping over homes there before crossing Main Street and colliding with the homes on the other side of the street. We decided to follow this side of the river behind the church, as it was clear this was the area of town where the water had jumped onto the land and reached over 100 feet inland, destroying the homes nearest the church. As we made our way toward the water, I kept hearing the stories Mayor Lamb had told us about the day this all happened. And as we walked near the gutted homes, both Jen and I fell silent. Our usual joking and banter had transformed into a somber and silent walk as we scanned the barren land.
Every step forward is another add-on. Through every break and fall, we need to stay strong. And as time goes by, we get settled in our ways. No matter how hard we try, the feeling stays. You get right through my
First of all, you need to love each other.
like
First and foremost,
Yeah.
prayer. Prayer, I don't get to do anything stick together and we are vulnerable during this time.
Yeah.
It's okay to ask for help. This is what community is about, and just stay strong. We will get through it. We will get through it. And you will get through it too. So we're all going to be all right.
I want to live again. I want to live again. So throw it all at me. The spoiled kid, the golden child. We both know who is right. Through the screaming and the wild. Through all the tears and all the pain. The late night deliberation. You know I do it all again. Yeah, I do it all again. You get right through my shield. It's like raindrops on a field. You pour down the dry crack, and the earth comes alive. Wherever there's love, there's bound to be strains. Oh, we push on through the rain. Oh, I know that things must change. I want to live again. I want to live again.
We finished our walk in town near the washed out bridge. You could see here a structure that had been completely washed away, the rebuilding starting with a newly established foundation. As we crossed the road closed signs and walked toward the bridge, I was surprised that even though Jen and I had witnessed so many washed out bridges in our travels, we're always stunned by the power of water that it must have taken to accomplish this. From this side of the river, we could see debris fields littering the woods on the other side. Significant debris fields looking similar to other places we'd seen, where parts of homes and other structures, as well as household and personal items, were all laid to rest between the barren trees. We could tell that this was the direction of the river we needed to follow to learn what had happened further out of town. We approached an area I knew from my research to be where a trailer from a nearby trailer park had been washed away. I pulled over and decided to explore closer to the river on foot. This area reminded me of the riverside near Irwin, where land and road had been scraped away by the raging floodwaters. As I walked along the river, I could see scattered debris all through the trees on this side of the river. I assumed much of this area was where most of the things scraped from the land upstream had settled. I walked closer to the water and could see the trailer park to the left. In front of me and to my right was where a lot of debris had collected on the ground and in the trees. I couldn't make out what most of the objects were, just that there were metal items, plastic, cloth or clothing, and countless other items scattered around. Next, we wanted to head up Jeb Stuart Highway, which runs alongside the Virginia Creeper Trail. Not very far up Jeb Stuart, you'll come to a road closed sign stretching across the entire road, with construction equipment on the other side. This was where I would launch my drone and send it further up the creeper trail to see the area where the mayor mentioned the trail had gotten completely swept away by the river. As I arrived at the next trestle, I could see that it was still clogged with remaining logs, but mostly cleared out as workers had dragged the debris away from it in neat piles. At least this bridge remained in place, but on this day we didn't have the time to explore further upstream. That exploration would require an entire day by itself. There was one final location we wanted to take a closer look at. On our drive into Damascus, we'd noticed an entire hillside that had been decimated by either high hurricane winds or an isolated tornado. The entire hillside here is covered with hundreds and hundreds of fallen trees, ripped out by their roots and all piled along the ground like God had dropped a box of toothpicks that had scattered all along the forest floor. They went on for acres all around this mountaintop, and the odd thing about the destruction here was that it was so random. The hillsides around it appeared untouched. By the end of day 2, we were exhausted, both physically and emotionally, but we knew that before we could leave, there was one more thing we had to do if we were going to properly tell the story of the people of Damascus and Northeast Tennessee. We needed to tell their story. Not just the destruction, but what they had experienced and what the recovery looked like today in January, over 4 months later. We had scheduled to meet a local in nearby town Laurel Bloomery named Ruby Dunn, who had all of her possessions lost by the flood and her home gutted. Ruby's story wasn't only one about Hurricane Helene, but about losses Jen and I would struggle to fathom. But even more remarkable about Ruby's story was that it would actually be a story about hope, love of neighbors, faith in the humanity of selfless Americans across the country, and the joy of knowing that in Appalachia, you're never truly alone, even when everything is lost.